Have you ever wondered if the Akashic Records are not the final repository of human knowledge? If beyond that shimmering realm of memory lies a library so vast, so secret, that even mystics and sages have only whispered its name? They called it the Astral Library. Not a myth, not a metaphor, but a living dimension of knowledge. A place where forgotten scrolls pulse with light, where ancient civilizations stored wisdom too dangerous, too powerful for the ordinary world. Some say it is the echo of every mind that has ever lived. Others claim it is a realm where gods themselves deposit their blueprints for creation. But here's the unsettling truth. You are not supposed to know about it, because those who enter change. They awaken with insights that cannot be controlled, visions that disrupt the machinery of collective thought. This is why the Astral Library has been veiled, obscured, hidden behind layers of myth and silence. And yet, the signs are everywhere. In the cryptic writings of the Gnostics, in the secret diagrams of Renaissance alchemists, in the visions of shamans who journeyed beyond the veil. The Astral Library has always been there, waiting, yet only a few have dared to open its gates. In this documentary, we will step across that threshold together. We'll uncover what the Astral Library truly is, why it has been forgotten, and how glimpses of its hidden knowledge are shaping our reality even now. More importantly, you'll discover what it means for you, and how you can begin your own journey into the forgotten halls of consciousness. Welcome to Esoteric Glyph, where hidden wisdom and ancient philosophy come alive. If you seek truth beyond illusion, subscribe and join our growing community of seekers. Together, we awaken one insight at a time. This is not entertainment. This is a call to remembrance. So ask yourself this: are you ready to step beyond the Akashic, into a place where forgotten truths wait for the brave? Because once you enter the Astral Library, you will never see reality the same way again. Throughout history, humanity has carried whispers of a place beyond the physical, a dimension where knowledge is not written, but remembered. The Akashic Records are the most famous version of this idea, a cosmic archive that preserves every thought, word, and action across time. But if you trace the threads of mysticism deeper, you find stories that hint at something more, a hidden library beyond even the Akashic. In ancient Egypt, priests spoke of the halls of Thoth, a sacred chamber where the god of wisdom inscribed the architecture of creation itself. These were not mere myths, they were symbolic maps, pointing toward a higher repository of wisdom. The Egyptians believed that only those purified in mind and spirit could even glimpse these hidden scrolls, for to misuse such knowledge would disrupt the balance of Ma'at, the cosmic order. In the East, certain strands of Tibetan mysticism describe the term texts, teachings concealed not in caves or temples, but in realms beyond ordinary perception, to be discovered by treasure revealers at destined moments in history. These were not books in the physical sense, but energetic imprints waiting in the subtle planes of consciousness. The Greeks too carried this secret. Plato, in his dialogues, spoke of anamnesis, the idea that learning is not acquiring new knowledge, but remembering truths the soul already knows. This philosophy suggests that the deepest insights do not come from the world around us, but from accessing a hidden interior library that predates birth and transcends death. Even the Gnostics, those early seekers of hidden wisdom, hinted at it. They believed in eons of light, realms layered above and beyond the material world, where knowledge existed in forms too pure to be expressed in human language. The Gnostic texts describe visions of celestial books and living scrolls, each radiating knowledge directly into the soul. But here lies the paradox. While fragments of the Astral Library appear across cultures, it was deliberately veiled. Why? Because knowledge is power, and unguarded power is dangerous. Throughout history, rulers, priests, and institutions have sought to filter truth, offering the masses only partial glimpses. To access the full library was to bypass their control. It meant liberation from the illusions of collective mind control, from the very architecture of reality itself. Philosophers like Giordano Bruno, who dared to speak of infinite worlds and the secret correspondences of the cosmos, paid the ultimate price for hinting at what lies beyond. Mystics and visionaries who returned from altered states often cloaked their revelations in allegory, poetry, or symbolism, protecting truths too explosive for unprepared minds. Thus, the Astral Library was never truly lost. It was hidden in plain sight, encoded in myth, guarded by initiatory traditions, and waiting for those with eyes to see. The question is not whether it exists, but whether you are prepared to seek it. Because to step into this forgotten library is to confront a truth both exhilarating and terrifying, that the universe itself may be a living book, and your consciousness is one of its pages. Imagine for a moment that every thought you have ever had, every dream you've ever wandered through, every spark of intuition that flickered for a brief second, all of it was preserved, not just in your memory, but woven into the very fabric of existence. Now imagine this not only for you, but for every being that has ever lived. What emerges is not chaos, but structure, a living archive. This is the Astral Library. Unlike the Akashic Records, which are often described as a cosmic ledger of actions, the Astral Library is something different. It is not merely a record of what was. It is a dimension of potentiality, a reservoir of what could be. It contains the unfinished symphonies of forgotten composers, the unwritten philosophies of civilizations lost to time, and the unspoken prayers of souls who died before their revelations could be born. To enter the Astral Library is not to walk into a building of stone and pillars. It is to align your consciousness with a frequency where knowledge takes form. Some mystics describe it as endless halls of crystalline shelves, each book glowing with inner light. Others see it as spirals of living symbols, floating like constellations, imprinting wisdom directly into the mind without the need for language. But here is the paradox: no two seekers describe it the same way. That is because the Astral Library adapts itself to the seeker's perception. It reveals knowledge in the form you are ready to comprehend. To a poet, it may appear as verses written in fire. To a scientist, equations that explain the hidden forces of the cosmos. To a philosopher, dialogues with unseen intelligences who answer questions before they are spoken. And yet, one truth remains consistent: no one ever leaves unchanged. Mystics warn that the Astral Library is not simply a place to consume knowledge, it is a mirror. What you encounter there is as much a reflection of your soul as it is universal truth. If you carry fear, you may see distorted forms, shadows posing as wisdom. If you approach with humility and sincerity, the knowledge offered feels luminous, resonant, undeniably alive. This is why the Astral Library has been described in esoteric traditions as both a blessing and a trial. Entering its halls is not guaranteed illumination. It is a test, a labyrinth where seekers must distinguish truth from illusion, light from counterfeit light. Those who are unprepared may return with fragments they cannot interpret, or worse, lose themselves in a sea of symbols too vast to navigate. But here lies its deeper secret. The Astral Library is not somewhere out there in space. It exists at the threshold between the individual mind and the collective consciousness of all life. Accessing it is less about traveling to another realm, and more about tuning the inner self, like adjusting a dial on a cosmic radio. The door is within you, always has been. And this is why, despite the silence of history, despite centuries of suppression, echoes of the Astral Library continue to surface. Because those who find it cannot help but bring fragments back. Ideas that ignite revolutions, inventions that change the course of humanity, visions that shake entire civilizations awake. The library waits, silent, infinite, patient, but it will not open to curiosity alone. It demands intention, alignment, and above all, responsibility, because knowledge in its rawest form is both medicine and poison. If the first encounter with the Astral Library feels like opening a hidden book of light, then entering deeper is like discovering that the book is alive, that it reads you as much as you read it. The most profound truth seekers uncover here is unsettling. The Astral Library is not merely a storage of knowledge, but an active intelligence. It is alive. It observes, it responds, and it tests. Some mystics describe it as a guardian presence, others as a council of unseen intelligences, while a few insist it is the very soul of the universe, wearing the mask of a library to make itself comprehensible. This raises a paradox. When you access the Astral Library, are you retrieving external wisdom, or are you awakening dormant layers of your own higher mind? The answer, like many esoteric truths, is both. The boundary between inner and outer dissolves. You do not merely study knowledge, you merge with it. The misconceptions. Many modern seekers confuse the Astral Library with the Akashic Records. The difference is subtle but crucial. The Akashic is retrospective. It holds the imprint of all that has been. The Astral Library is perspective. It holds the seed patterns of what could unfold. Where the Akashic shows the past and present, the Astral shows possibility. Others mistake the Astral Library for imagination. And in one sense, they are correct. Imagination is the doorway. But imagination here is not fantasy. It is the creative matrix of reality. What you receive within the library can often manifest outwardly, if anchored with intention. This is why prophets, inventors, and visionaries throughout history seem to see the future. They were tuning into the library's unwritten scrolls. The paradox of permission. Yet, access is not free. The library does not open its deepest halls to every seeker. It reveals only what a soul is ready to integrate. Too much knowledge without wisdom leads to imbalance, even madness. Think of it as a fire. It can illuminate, or it can burn. The greatest danger of the Astral Library is not in finding it, but in misusing what you take from it. This is why across traditions, the concept of initiation appears. Shamans undergo death rituals, alchemists endure symbolic purification, mystics practice silence and solitude. These were not arbitrary rites. They were preparations to ensure that when the gates opened, the seeker would have the strength to bear the weight of what was revealed. The living symbols. One of the strangest aspects reported by those who enter is the presence of living symbols. Words, numbers, and geometric forms that do not just communicate meaning, they transmit energy. Imagine a sigil that, when looked upon, rearranges your thought patterns, or a phrase that burns into your awareness, so deeply it transforms how you perceive reality. These are not metaphors. To the initiated, the library's texts are alive, breathing currents of consciousness. And here is the ultimate revelation. The Astral Library is not a static vault, but a co-creative field. Each seeker who enters does not merely observe, it adds. Your experiences, your realizations, your very journey becomes part of its shelves. In this way, the library is constantly expanding, updated not by scribes or priests, but by the collective unfolding of consciousness itself. What this means is profound. When you step into the Astral Library, you are not only retrieving knowledge of the ancients, you are writing your own entry into the eternal archive. The advanced insight. Here is the hidden key. The Astral Library is both destination and mirror. To enter is to realize that what you seek has always been within. The scrolls, the symbols, the halls of wisdom, they are archetypal projections of the higher mind. The library does not simply exist somewhere out there in the astral. It exists wherever consciousness dares to expand beyond its limits. And perhaps the most unsettling truth, the very fact that you are hearing these words, contemplating this possibility, means some part of you is already there. The library is calling you, because you are already walking its halls in dreams, in flashes of intuition, in sudden moments of clarity that seem to come from nowhere. You have been visiting without knowing. It's one thing to contemplate the Astral Library as a hidden realm of knowledge. It's another to ask, how can I enter? The truth is, the library is not reached through physical travel, but through alignment of mind, spirit, and intention. Access begins with preparation, not spectacle. 1. Purification of intention. Before any technique, there must be clarity of purpose. The Astral Library does not respond to curiosity alone. Ask yourself, why do I seek this knowledge? If the answer is pride, power, or escape, the halls will remain silent, or worse, present distorted illusions. But if the answer is growth, service, or awakening, the path opens naturally. Write down your intention before beginning any practice, as if you were composing a letter to the library itself. 2. The gateway of silence. The first doorway is silence. In our modern world of constant noise and distraction, silence itself becomes an initiation. Begin by practicing deep meditation, 15 minutes a day, eyes closed, focusing on your breath. As the mind quiets, notice how thoughts begin to take on shape and texture. This subtle awareness is the first step toward perceiving the symbolic language of the library. 3. The dreamwork approach. The Astral Library often reveals itself in dreams, where the conscious mind is less guarded. Before sleep, repeat a clear affirmation. Tonight, I will walk the halls of wisdom and remember what I see. Keep a journal by your bed. Record any dreams with libraries, books, symbols, or teachers, no matter how fragmented. Over time, patterns will emerge. What first appears as scattered fragments may reveal a coherent message. 4. Symbolic keys. Throughout history, seekers have used symbols as keys to unlock altered states of perception. One practice is to meditate on sacred geometry, forms like the flower of life, the Metatron cube, or the infinite spiral. These are not mere designs, but archetypal blueprints. Visualizing them can tune your consciousness to the frequency of the library, aligning your inner mind with its order. Another method is to use a personal sigil. Draw or design a symbol that represents your intention to access higher knowledge. Meditate on it until it feels alive. This becomes your personal library card, a bridge between the inner self and the astral halls. 5. The technique of inquiry. Once within meditation, ask open-ended questions rather than demanding answers. For example, what knowledge is most needed for my growth right now? Or what truth am I ready to remember? Be receptive to impressions, images, or sudden insights. The Astral Library rarely speaks in words. It speaks in symbols, intuition, and synchronicities that later unfold in your daily life. 6. Integrating the knowledge. The most crucial step is integration. Many seekers make the mistake of treating mystical visions as trophies, but wisdom not applied becomes a burden. Whatever you retrieve from the Astral Library, whether a phrase, a symbol, or an overwhelming sense of clarity, write it down, meditate on it, and apply it. Test it in your life. Transformation is the measure of true knowledge. Common pitfalls. Impatience. The library cannot be forced. Approaching with haste only leads to mental noise. Ego inflation. Powerful insights can tempt one into arrogance. Remember, true wisdom humbles rather than inflates. Overinterpretation. Not every dream or vision is the library. Discernment is vital. Always balance mystical experiences with grounded reflection. A gentle ritual. Here is a simple practice you can begin tonight. 1. Prepare a quiet space. Dim the lights, light a single candle. 2. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and breathe deeply until calm. 3. Visualize a vast doorway of light before you. On the door is a symbol. Let it arise naturally in your mind. 4. As you step through the door in your imagination, whisper, I seek the wisdom prepared for me. 5. Do not force what comes. Let images, sensations, or fragments of memory arise. When ready, slowly return and record your experience. With time, patience, and sincerity, this ritual becomes a personal key to the library's threshold. Knowledge hidden in the Astral Library is not meant to be hoarded, but lived. Every insight is an invitation, not to escape this world, but to awaken within it. The more you align your daily actions with what you retrieve, the clearer the door becomes. The library is already open. The question is, are you ready to read what is written for you? The Astral Library is not a myth, not a fantasy, but a living metaphor of the universe itself. It is the reminder that knowledge is infinite, and that each of us carries the key within. From the halls of Thoth to the visions of the Gnostics, from the whispers of shamans to the dreams you may have tonight, the library has always been here, waiting, watching, silently calling those who are ready. We have seen how it transcends the Akashic Records, how it contains not just what has been, but what could be. We have walked through its paradoxes, knowledge that mirrors the soul, symbols that breathe with life, truths that reveal themselves only when you are ready. And we have uncovered practices to begin your own journey. Silence, dream work, sacred symbols, inquiry, and integration. But the deepest truth is this. The Astral Library does not exist apart from you. You're already one of its shelves. Every thought, every choice, every act of courage or fear adds another page to its endless archive. When you seek the library, you are not stepping into something foreign. You are remembering what you have always been. So the question is not, does the Astral Library exist? The question is, are you awake enough to recognize that you have been walking its halls all along? Remember, seekers, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is responsibility. The wisdom you retrieve must not remain in words or visions. It must become a living force in your life. Share it, embody it, let it shape the way you see and act in the world. That is how the library expands. That is how truth survives. If these words have stirred something within you, if you felt even a spark of recognition, then you already know. This path is yours to walk. Subscribe to Esoteric Glyph and join a community of seekers who, like you, are ready to pierce the veil and remember what was forgotten. Share this message with others who sense there is more to life than the illusions of the everyday. Because once you open the Astral Library, there is no going back. The shelves are endless. The scrolls are alive. And the greatest secret of all is this. The book you are meant to find has been waiting for you since the beginning of time. Thank you for your time. It is not bye-bye, but see you again.